We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Houston Rockets, me and Ryan want to welcome you to the year 2024. 2023 was a great year for the podcast. Not a great year for the Pistons, but as a podcast, we've been doing great. You know, we're out here just living. So we are looking forward to giving you guys more and new content in the year 2024. A lot of big things to come, new merch, new video ideas, a trip coming up very soon to Detroit for the Revved Up Boys. We are going to be at Little Caesars Arena March 15th through the 17th for the back-to-back matchups versus the Miami Heat. So get ready for the content coming up very, very soon. We are looking forward to be bringing you guys Revved Up recaps right from Detroit and vlogs. Last time we went to Detroit for our trip, we did vlogs. So get ready for some new Revved Up vlogs in the next couple months. So exciting things coming very, very soon for the Revved Up 906 podcast. So if you want to stay in the know and get ready for all that content, make sure to like and subscribe if you are new to the channel and turn on those post notifications button so you are in the know with everything that's going on with us and the Detroit Pistons. Without further ado, let's get into the first recap of 2024. Tonight's matchup was the Detroit Pistons versus the Houston Rockets. Tonight's final score was 113 to 136 in the Houston Rockets' favor. The Houston Rockets were a team on a mission tonight, and overall, the Pistons just seemed to be a little tired, especially Cade Cunningham. But I really think the biggest deciding factor was the Pistons' just horrible defensive third quarter tonight. The Pistons allowed 47 points in just 12 minutes that were the third quarter. Ryan, when watching tonight's game, was the deciding factor the third quarter? Was it the overall defense through all four quarters? Was it because Cade didn't offer what the Pistons need offensively? What are some of the biggest things when watching tonight's game that kind of shot the Pistons in the foot?
Well, first off, outside of Cade, I think everybody in general, they were gas. Then you look at the fact that we had 17 turnovers, not great, especially when you consider how many turnovers the Rockets had, which was 9. So it's a big difference there.
Right.
They had 19 fouls. We had 21 fouls. Fouling, as big of an issue as it was, it really wasn't the biggest issue. I really think when it comes down to breaking down this game tonight, it was just more so the energy. It wasn't there. Yeah, the turnovers were bad, but we did not have a bad game in terms of shooting the ball. We shot roughly 48% from the field, 45% from 3, and then 74% at the line. Like, that's not a bad shooting night for us at all. So when you break down this game tonight, I really think it's just that the guys were tired.
Yeah, and through four quarters tonight versus the Houston Rockets, the Pistons allowed around 30 points off of turnovers tonight. So it wasn't just the 17 turnovers as the statistic, it's what leads off of those turnovers. And the Houston Rockets really took advantage of getting out and running. But one of the biggest guys that really hurt us was the big Turkey man, the Turkish center, the Turkish footwork. Well, I don't know what his nickname is, but Sengun had 20 points in just the third quarter. So really led that rally of the 47 total points. And then he finished with a high for the Houston Rockets of 26 points and 9 assists. This is a well-rounded center that Jalen Duren really held his own against Sengun, but it was James Wiseman that just got absolutely exposed. It was mainly the James Wiseman in the third quarter that allowed so many points on him. He was just an absolute thorn in the Pistons side tonight.
Yeah, we're talking about the mini Joker, the mini Nikola Jokic, as some may say, just because of his abilities. He's one of those big men who can do just about anything they want to do. Jokic is known for his high basketball IQ outside of his shooting. his ball handling, pretty much he can do everything. That's what Alperen Sengun can do too. And he just put that to work tonight against us. The big difference between Wiseman and Sengun is Wiseman is a little bit undersized in the weight department compared to him. Otherwise, the length is there. Sengun is just a little bit more. He knows how to utilize his footwork to his advantage. He knows how to post up certain players. He's been doing it for a while. Typically, European players just have that slight advantage that probably just because of their time overseas playing, and it's just a different game. But no, he balled out tonight. I mean, when you're shooting 9 of 13 from the field, and you only miss one free throw, you're having a great night. I really think if you take away Sengun's play, this game would have been a lot. Well, see, I want to say it would have been a lot closer, but the guys were just gas. But if you eliminate Sengun, I'm very curious to see how the game would have played out. Just given the fact that against Dern, he did struggle from time to time, and against Wiseman, he just went to town. So I'd be curious to see what would have happened if he didn't have as big of an impact as he had, and the guys at least had or brought a little bit more energy than what they showed tonight.
Yeah, and we saw like the second biggest name on the Houston Rockets in Jalen Green have 22 points, 5 rebounds, 6 of 12 from the field, 5 of 9 from the 3-point line, which is impressive. But the 22 points isn't anything to like really shrug at or be like, ooh, like that was a big night. But if you take Sengun away, the mini Joker, I think that this game is a lot more competitive. I think it just comes down to James Wiseman got exposed tonight. And I don't know if it's an energy thing. I don't know if he was just outclassed. It seemed like he was just plain out outclassed and was just kind of a step slow. So for me, I agree. I think this Houston Rockets team is a team that's very beatable by the Pistons. It just came down to that big night from Sengun. But actually, when talking about those 17 turnovers, I kind of wanted to talk about it wasn't necessarily the Houston Rockets were putting on a crazy impressive defensive night. It was on the Pistons, and it was simply their fault. They were basically just giving it to the Houston Rockets. And so my point is there was a lot of lazy passes, and it wasn't off the bench. It was actually from our starters. There's an 11 total of turnovers accounted by our starters. So 5 from Bojan, 5 from Cade Cunningham, 2 from Jalen Duren, and 1 from Jaden Ivey. So that you don't want to see that from your starters. And something that I noticed, I mean, we know Cade struggles with turnovers, so there's nothing too shocking with that. But the thing tonight was Bojan. Bojan was just a step behind and throwing these lazy, sluggish passes on the offensive end that all of them led to turnovers. So it was a really big struggle for the Detroit Pistons tonight in just simply facilitating an offense. But the next thing I want to focus on is Alec Burks. Alex Burks was the high scorer for the Detroit Pistons with 21 points. And Alec has had 2 great back-to-back games. We talked about how he hasn't really matched up well with what he put together last season, but he's really starting to kind of turn it around. And while you see a guy like Alec Burke start turning around the play and playing well, we're seeing the Pistons compete a little bit more, excluding this game just because there's something, the stars aligned for the Houston Rockets. But I wanted to talk about the great play of Alec Burks a little bit and what it means to have that kind of veteran presence off the bench.
Yeah, what he's done for us the last couple nights, like I mentioned in our last recap, or was it? Yeah, I don't remember. Yes, it was our last recap.
Yeah.
What I mentioned was he had been evidently going through a shooting slump, and he finally just got out of that. I mean, shooters typically have a slump from time to time. This one lasted a little bit longer for him, but we're starting to see good results from him, like 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and then 100% at the line, nailing 6 free throws. He's, like I said the other night, he's hitting this stride at the perfect time. I mean, it is a perfect time in the sense of like our losing streak has ended. I mean, technically we started a streak today, but our losing streak of 28 games has ended. So now we're on a positive note looking forward to hopefully more wins. But when Alec Burks gets hot, this team is good. When he plays bad and you don't have that extra shooting off the bench available to you, it's hard to put together or throw out a lineup in which you can score.
Right.
But a big positive outside of Burks would be Marcus Sasser. I mean, in 7 minutes, 3 of 3 from the field, 2 of 2 for 3, missed 1 free throw, 9 points, like, and 2 assists. Like in that amount of time, we're going to be hearing some criticism towards Monty Williams from these fans saying like, "Hey, where's Sasser? Like, why isn't he playing more?" Given the fact of he as productive as he was in just 7 minutes in that late fourth quarter, but still, yeah, if Alec Burks isn't having a great night, then it leads to games in which we lose. If he's having a great night and the rest of the team just fails to put up any points, we lose. It has to be a combo of Alec Burks and the rest of the guys doing their thing, doing their job. That's how we're going to get these wins. But yeah, I'd like to credit Alec Burks a lot because he's been playing great.
Yeah, and to your point, talking about Marcus Sasser, in his very little minutes that he's been getting this season over certain periods of time, he is making the most of it each and every time. I really do think that if the Pistons are going to be losing by double digits for long periods of time, you might as well give some minutes to Marcus Sasser because he is something that might give this team a streak of fire on the offensive end. I mean, he plays with a fiery passion that I just really enjoy watching. He reminds me of Cassius Winston of Michigan State Spartans a couple years back, like just a savvy guard that knows how to burn you offensively. And or Trey Burke of the Michigan Wolverines in the early 2000s. I really just love his play. And I think he can add a dynamic to this Pistons team that he hasn't yet this season if he simply just gets the minutes. Another thing I want to talk about is, again, tonight, Jalen Duren, an absolute double-double machine, 12 points, 13 rebounds, and then shooting very efficient, just like he has earlier in the season, 6 of 7 from the field. I love to see it. But I really want to hone in on Jaden Ivey real quick because Jaden is a guy that's had sophomore slump at times. I'm not saying it's been a total dud of a year. It's not. He's had great play, and it's especially as of recent. 19 points tonight, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 10 from the field, and 3 of 4 from the 3-point line. I think that's really the most impressive thing tonight by Jaden Ivey is the great 3-point shooting. When he's on, he is on, Ryan.
Yeah, the game in which we took Boston overtime, Jaden Ivey was the main factor in that. In our win against Toronto, obviously Cade did his part, but Jaden Ivey at times, even though he didn't fill up the box score, he was all over the place. Every single game out there this season, the last couple games or so, Jaden Ivey has been bringing the energy, and it's been to me extremely fun to watch. Just because we know what he can do, what he can bring us, and so the fact that we're finally starting to see what he brought us last year, and he's starting to get back into the groove of things, it's a very big positive for me, especially from 3. Like, he's not the cream of the crop, Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris. He's shooting better than Joe Harris is this year. I just got to throw that out there. But Joe Harris is a good 3-point shooter. He's been shooting almost as good as Alec Burks has. Like, the way he's shooting the ball right now, if he were to just take that up a notch, I'm not complaining about his 3-point shooting right now. But if he took that up a notch, imagine how much bigger of a threat he would be to opposing teams coming in. Like, the fact that he's been this productive, at least tonight, missing 1 3, missing 4 shots total in 26 minutes played, gives you 19 points, barely turns the ball over, barely fouls, has 3 assists, 6 boards. Like, he put together a great game. So if he were to continue this, like he has been so far, like, opposing teams coming in have to have Jaden Ivey on their game plan, because if he were to just keep up this play improve his 3-point shot a little bit more. Like Jaden Ivey, I don't think I think the sky's the limit for him as he's playing right now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
hopefully this slump has ended because he's playing phenomenal in my book right now.
Well, and it's not just scoring on the offensive end or steals, defensive play. It's well-rounded play from Jaden Ivey. It's not just a certain stat category or a certain end of the floor. He's just playing well overall. We still see him fall back every once in a while or struggle with fouls on the defensive end. But overall, Jaden Ivey's playing a great brand of basketball right now, and which is great because the next guy I want to talk about tonight didn't play so great. Cade Cunningham. We got to talk about it. Overall, 10 assists. I love that. I love to see it. He's showing that even when he struggles to shoot the ball and went 3 of 16 from the field, he can still stay active, stay engaged, try to lead this team, maybe not with points, but with passing. And so he in 30 minutes had, like I said, 6 points, 1 rebound, 10 assists, 3 of 16 from the field, 0 of 5 from the 3-point line. And then, like I said earlier, 5 turnovers. But Cade Cunningham, not a huge factor in tonight's game. I was kind of hoping that he would have a big outing against the Houston Rockets. We kind of have this unsaid rivalry with the Houston Rockets. But I think it wasn't Houston's play necessarily. I think Cade's shots just simply were not falling. They double teamed him here and there, but at all 3 levels, he just wasn't really scoring the basketball offensively. So it was hard to watch because we've kind of gotten accustomed in these last couple of weeks of Cade just absolutely striping it from the 3-point line and finishing at the hoop. But we just never really saw him get any momentum together versus the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, his shot wasn't falling, which is evident. It's one of those things in which where, like as I mentioned earlier with Jaden Ivey, Alec Burks with their slump issues, like it's gonna happen with your best guys too. Cade Cunningham has been playing electrifying basketball. He's been playing like through the roof, really. Every night out there, it's like he can guarantee you 30 points. But tonight wasn't the case. His shooting just wasn't there. It's like they were blocking the rim somehow. There was a covering on it. But outside of the shots not falling, I will say it was very evident that he was tired. And that's probably due in part because of maybe jet lag a little bit. I don't know, you're traveling a lot, so that shouldn't be an issue. But outside of that, I mean, you just beat the Toronto Raptors, ended the streak, probably gassed because you worked your tail off to get that win. And that was evident for them that night. They've been working their tail off. I mean, especially Cade. I mean, the fact that he's giving you almost 30 points every single night, the last couple nights out, like, you know how tiring that is on somebody? So the fact that he finally came down to earth and had this kind of game, to me, it's kind of like, oh, that sucks. But I think it's a positive just because of the upcoming schedule. Like, get this one out of the way. You're tired, rejuvenate yourself, end this 3-game road trip on a high note and carry on like you have been playing, because I think he's going to be fine. I just think when it comes down to things, he was just tired. Because I don't think he played bad for what it was worth. I mean, when the fact is you were still able to provide 10 assists, still were moving the ball around from time to time, trying to get open shots and open opportunities for others. Like, you were still trying, and I can give you props to that, but he was gassed.
Here's the thing. I agree. The Pistons were gassed, but let's think about it. Let's do some math. Last night was New Year's Eve. Last night, the Detroit Pistons were in Houston. What is Houston known for, Ryan?
Oh,
I
you
mean,
know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows what Houston's known for. And the Pistons, who are used to just quiet old Detroit, I bet they had themselves a night on the town, Ryan. I mean, come on, you're in Houston. It's New Year's Eve. These guys are 20-year-old guys. I mean, they were probably out late. They were out late, and then they can't sleep in, right? Because you got shoot around in the morning, so you don't get to make up the hours. the guys are tired. I just feel like they are having a late night in Houston. That's my best guess. That's just a conspiracy theory on my end, but you heard it here first. I think that's why the Detroit Pistons were worn out tonight. That's my thoughts.
See, I didn't want to just assume, make assumptions of things, but it probably was the case. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I just didn't want to go out there and say it.
I mean, 1 + 1 = 2. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to do math here. And from my calculations, it seems like they had a late night. That's just what I'm saying.
It's a 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. I'm not trying to throw out any allegations. I'm just saying you just never know. They're young guys. They're young guys. That will do it for tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Houston Rockets. Before you guys leave, I want to make sure to remind you guys to tune in to episode number 10 of season 2. This week, we react to Piston fan tweets, and it's a funny episode. We react to you guys say a lot of funny things on the internet. So we thought we would take a week to just kind of look at what the Pistons community is talking about during what was the 28-game losing streak for the Detroit Pistons. So make sure to hit our YouTube profile and tune into that episode. We will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.